Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Capricorn April 2024 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel St. James, clairvoyant. Well, this month I have an interesting deck for you. It's called the Heindel deck. It must be, certainly over 30 years old, maybe closer to 40. I think is what its age might be. It could even be older than that. You probably know better than I do. This is what the back of the thing looks like for those people that are interested in it. But in any event, it will enable me to provide a unique perspective on the energies and influences surrounding you. And it will help you to, I think that this is going to help you to navigate the month with insight and awareness. Now, you know, of course, that tarot cards are not, at least in the way that I'm doing it here, because it's not a clairvoyant reading. But what it does do here, though, is it is not a prediction of a fixed future for you, but rather these things, the I Ching, the Hebrew letters, the Viking letters, and the cards and numerology and astrology, they will come together to reflect the energies at play, and it will provide you with guidance and a deeper understanding of the path that you are on. Now, of course, over the course of the last month, I've done a number of one-on-one clairvoyant readings for Capricorns from different parts of the world over FaceTime and Skype. And if you might be interested in seeing what's involved in having a one-on-one clairvoyant reading with me, check out the information in the description at the end of the video. Now, separately, during the last month, I've also done a number of healings for people in different countries over FaceTime and Skype as well. You see, when I was born, the gift of clairvoyance was given to me, and the spiritual gift also of healing was provided to me. But with healing, it was provided on two conditions. That first, I must use it, and secondly, I am to receive nothing in return. So I am to offer it to people for free, with no obligation, no catch, and nothing will be sold to you from me. You won't be talked into having a reading from me, I can assure you from that, or from anybody else, or nothing else at all. It will just be what it is. Now, I can assure you that over doing this for over 40 years now, that there isn't anything that I haven't seen or heard, and so I have no problems with anything that you might want to discuss. The other thing is that I completely forget everything that we have spoken about at the end of a session, because otherwise I'd go crazy, as you can understand, given the number of people that I speak with. So check out the information that's in the description box at the end of the video with respect to healing. I'm very happy to provide it, and it is, as I say, free, without charge or any obligation. Now, what we're going to do is have a look at 5 cards, because we're going to have our hands full with I Chings and all this sort of stuff, I think, this month. And there's some quite out there imagery on here. So let's get the first messenger, and it is the Emperor. Now, there's a Viking letter and a Hebrew letter there straight away. There's the same on that one, which is the Universe. I think that's a great card to have. There's the Empress. Well, 3 major arcana in a row there. What's this one here? It is the 5 of Wands. 5 of Wands is got a Chinese I Ching on it, or hexagram, hex meaning 6. I Ching's got the broken and unbroken lines, and there's another I Ching, which is the 3 of Wands, which you'll see now in just a moment when I bring the camera around and you sit down here next to me, so that you and I can have a good close look at the imagery on these cards together while I do the reading, especially for you. Let's go and have a look first at this first card that you drew. Lots of Aries energy here. The Emperor. Now, let's have a look at, there's a rune, there's a Hebrew letter. Well, the Aries is quite straightforward, I think you would agree. Now, let's see what's going on here in this painting. Well, the tree behind the Emperor is Yggdrasil. Now that's the world tree of Viking mythology, and its roots are deep in the mysterious origins of life, and its branches reaching up, well, they reach up into the stars and beyond. Now the Emperor is holding the rod that I guess he has received from the Empress, who's sitting underneath him just there. And I think that the gold ball that's in his other hand symbolizes the material world. Now, the diamond overhead that I can see there contains the colors of humanity. Now, I mentioned a rune. Have I told you before how the runes came about? They came about like this. Odin, who was the king of the Viking gods, was always a seeker of wisdom. And on one occasion, in order to obtain some wisdom, he was required to tear out one of his eyes, which he did. And so he's often depicted as being just a one-eyed person. Now, he wanted to find out what the runes were about. And so he hung from a branch on Yggdrasil, the world tree, upside down for 9 days and 9 nights without eating or drinking, and staring below into a well, the Well of Erd. Now within that well lived 3 Norns, as they were called, unmarried women, who were equivalent to, I suppose, the Fates in Greek mythology, and also within that well resided the runes. Now, by concentrating, staring, and using his willpower for 9 days and 9 nights, 9 is the sacred number, of course, then ultimately, on the 9th day, the runes then floated to the surface and imparted to Odin their mysteries and sacred meanings. Now, this rune that you can see here, and then I'll pull it out, and this is the word for house that's there, hay, I'll get to that in a second. What we see here is the rune of Ansuz, and it actually means and refers to Odin and the ancestral gods. It also means mouth or breath and communication. So it represents 2 of the gifts given to primeval people by the gods, being breath and mental activity. Now, it is the rune of communication and the spoken word, this. And I guess it's a reminder for you maybe to just take a deep breath before speaking and try to listen from time to time. Now, this hay, which we can see there, that's the 5th letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and it represents divine revelation, the breath of the Creator. I'm reminded in Psalm, pretty sure it's Psalm in the Old Testament or the Hebrew Bible, in the book of Psalms. It's chapter 33, verse 6. By the word of the Lord the heavens were made, and by the breath of his mouth all of their hosts or things or beings. So the world, creation, was created with the utterance of the hay, and it represents the gift of life. It is divinity, the spiritual life that comes about. It represents the life essence in all of creation, and it symbolizes the effortlessness of the world and is the symbol of divinity, gentility, and specificity. It contains within it also freedom of choice. Now, I think that at this time, with the presence of Aries and with this kingly monarchical nature here, that you're going to be mainly concerned with power or control over other people, or maybe even just over yourself. I think you're going to be a natural leader and organizer. You'll use willpower and judgment sensibly, and this is a result of your life experiences to date. There is success here for you, success through discipline and application of effort. And I think you're going to be a rational thinker. Do you know what? I think status is going to be important to you. I know that material security is going to be, and stability is also. I don't think you're going to be passive at all. You're going to be quite fiery from time to time, I think. There's going to be an urge for action. And this also speaks of new beginnings and authority. Ambition is what's leaping up from the card. And you'll be firm with yourself and with each other. And I think you might actually have an extension to the type of responsibilities that you have around the type of work that you do. Well, we may as well look at the Empress next, given that she's there. So, what a great looking card that is. Let me pull you out a little bit. There you go. Now, let's have a look at this painting that's here for the Empress. And what can we see here? There's a woman, and behind her there's a doorway, and I think that doorway symbolizes culture. Now, the open door, if you look at it, it looks like it's got fish scales on it, doesn't it? And the archway looks reminiscent of things that you'd see in a church or a cathedral. And she's standing on what I think is a crescent moon that floats on the water. She's holding a scepter that's tipped with a pine cone and a snake that wraps around her arm. The snake represents transformation, of course, and enlightenment. And there's a band of light around her head. And over here there's a golden bird that you might just make out that's heading towards her, that is going to then be bringing, I would say, divine messages and words from heaven. And the ball that's up there, that might well represent the earth. Now here are a couple of runes and Hebrew letters again. Let's have a look at them. Now this rune is a form of the rune called Wunyo, which is joy, fulfillment, well-being, and a period of happiness for you. It's representing joy and harmonious action. Now, when all aspects of your being are working together and in alignment with your goals, you can't help but grow and prosper. Now, if something is out of alignment or causing blockages, then get rid of it, because it's going to be causing problems. Now, the Hebrew letter is Dalet, which is the fourth letter of the alphabet, and it is the word for door, for gate, and it indicates resistance also, and a state of selflessness, which is needed to pass through the door. Now, it really says that you need to know your own mystery of being in order to return to the union with the beloved. And the thing is in the shape of a bent over man, really. That's how I always think about it. And it signifies the humility and receptiveness. I think it also represents structure, and its form of a horizontal and a vertical line represents a grid giving structure to the form. And it's almost, I always think it's shaped like a step on a staircase, and it speaks also of overcoming resistance. Now, it definitely seems to me to be the case that you might hear of pregnancy around here. You're going to be in touch with beauty in your life. You may well be exploring your relationship. I was going to say with just a mother, but because there's Emperor's here as well, I'd say a relationship with a parent, or you might be acting as a parental figure to somebody else. That's reminding you that spirituality is expressed from the heart and not from the head. It's also about nurturing other people, and in particular nurturing yourself. A great degree of wisdom is going to be with you now. There's the fulfillment of your potential and success in work matters. You may well find that you have a great love of nature, and you will be a natural mentor or parental type figure for someone. You could well find that you are very strongly service-oriented. I don't think anyone's going to be able to pigeonhole you as being either intellectual or emotional. And great leadership ability here. This is a particularly great energy for women, incidentally. Do you know, ladies, that the beauty that you see in others, which attracts you to them, is actually a beauty you carry within yourself. I think now you're in the process of unfolding and evolving your femininity. This might well be the right time to work through and clarify any unresolved parent-child conflicts. Is there in your life a beautiful, strong woman from whom you would like to learn? Visualize her, write down her most important qualities, and try to find these in others and in yourself. And this is the time when you should surround yourself with beauty and abundance, and say this to yourself: I give and receive wisely. I realize that the capacity to receive is equally as powerful as the capacity to give. I value the healing power of beauty, harmony, and love. And I am filled with power and beauty. Now, we might have to get through these rather quickly. I'm thinking these remaining ones, because I'm mindful of your time. Now, here's one of these hexagrams. These are contained in the Chinese Book of Changes, which was made in, or written in about the 600 or 700 BC in China, I think. And what these things are is that these unbroken lines are yang, or active principle. The broken lines are yin, or receptive principle. They can be read either singly, or in couplets, that is twos, or in threes together, triplets, or as I do, in six. Now, this is talking about conflict. The painting is quite straightforward in that there are, looks like military spears poking up. I'd say this, that looking at that hexagram there, I would roughly translate that as being revolution. So the elements actually are of fire under water. Now, fire evaporates water, and water puts out fire. Now, similarly, change can often cause conflict, and conflict brings about change. Well, this hexagram refers to a time when things around you might be stirring up, and there's a hint of dramatic change in the air. So in order to succeed, you've got to be in alignment with nature and have good timing. And you've got to start things at the right moment, gather support from a broad base of people, and most importantly, make sure that you are addressing a real need. Now, change ushers in a period, I think, when chaos comes up from order. But remember that not all order is good and not all chaos is bad. Chaos is really a necessary part of the way things evolve and develop, as any parent will confirm. But I think what this energy is doing is, through this hexagram, the lens through which I'm looking at it, it's reminding you to have the courage to radically change and renew the way you bring yourself to life. And this way, you can channel the unusual energy around you to your cause and unleash a new power which is going to serve you. Now, what's on the top line, diagonally opposite that, and it is this. Now, I'm just looking at it. Here we have a rune, and here we have a Hebrew letter. It's said to be governed by Saturn, which deals with time, but I disagree with that. I don't think there's any particular planet associated with, well, I don't like to see a planet hanging around without a zodiac sign to go with it, so there's not a zodiac sign associated with this. Unless you said it was the entire zodiac, I could probably live with that, say it's Saturn and it's the entire zodiac together. I would probably go with that with this energy that's here. Now, what we have here is the Earth, whose bottom half shows, see here it is here, the bottom half of the Earth going. Well, it's circled by a dragon. Now, there's sort of both a kind of a greeny type of colour, the colour of new life. Now, the fire is red, of course, the colour of energy and blood. And white, the colour of pure thought. And the serpent's breath burns away illusion. Now that rune that's there is a form of Sawilo, which is the sun, spiritual power and enlightenment, success and personal growth. So there's an illuminating force now, which is breaking through darkness and doubt, creating growth and expansion for you. It's both the goal and the active willed action towards it. You going after your goal to develop, to achieve your purpose and develop your inner self. That's what's going on here at the moment. Now the Hebrew letter is Tav. Now Tav means mark, sign, omen, I suppose, or seal. It's the symbol of truth, of perfection and of completion. It represents the restoration of all of existence. It's a return, I suppose, to the essence and purpose of your life. And it represents completion before beginning again. It shows you that the end was set from the beginning, I suppose. Now, it's the idea that the Creator set in motion all of existence in order to reach a final state of perfection, the fulfillment of creation. But what I would say for you here is that there is the completion of a project. Your efforts are finally paying off. I think it's been something of a long, hard haul for you, but you're almost there. And it's a reminder for you to finish what you started. I think you're learning to take control of your own destiny, and you're using the power of your will to get results. There's a liberation from bondage, and there's almost a burning off of karma associated with this energy as well. Now, it's now possible for you to see things as they really are. The stage is set for a new beginning or a favorable completion. The events in your life are in harmony with the universe. Now, from what aspects of your life is it time to free yourself? Is there a journey or an enterprise waiting for you to set it in motion? Trust your perceptions. Make a list of things that need to be tied off and resolved, because they will give you a sense of relief when that happens. And say this also: I love to travel. I love to explore the unknown. I am excited about bringing ideas and creative projects into form. I deeply value making a contribution that makes things around me a better place, and I am at one with the universe. And then, sorry, I just bashed that around. Finally, let's have a look at this Three of Wands. And there's a very good astrology here for you, and there's also, let's have a look at this hexagram. The picture first talks about, I think, a sort of a ruined cathedral, really, and you can see this archway opening up to the sky, and I suggest that what this does is it sort of talks about how humanity always seeks structure within which to house religious ideas. Here's the hexagram, and then I'll talk about the astrology. Now, if we look at this, we have what I would roughly translate as a cauldron or a cooking pot. And this symbolizes nourishment and rejuvenation for you. Now, sooner or later, good comes to those people who do good. Joy comes to those who bring joy to others. And opportunity comes to those who are persistent and who make luck happen. A rejuvenation is returning to your natural desires, and there is a recharging of your batteries that comes from making progress towards your aspirations, desires, and goals. Good fortune and success are indicated here. Now, Healthy, regular sustenance is very important, as you know, and that's symbolized by that hexagram of the cooking pot. And that provides nourishment to everybody. Now, rejuvenation means that people who are in honorable pursuit of their dreams are properly nourished and valued, and a fresh approach to old habits is indicated here. So look for ways of putting new life into old forms. Only when there is a great vitality, when that is present, only then can real breakthroughs be achieved. Now, this is very much suggesting to, well, first of all, I'll say that the astrology here where it's placed is that of the sun in the second decan of Aries. Well, the sun is also exalted in Aries, and so this placement is very favorable. Aries enjoys challenges, and Aries suns are happiest when their lives are moving forward and active. This is a time for you where virtue, integrity, and honesty need to be focused upon. There is going to be high self-confidence with you, and I can't see you making any compromises. Ideas are crystallizing. There's a confirmation now that you are really on the right path, and I do see work expansion. Maybe someone's thinking of making a hobby into a business. You really do have the direction that you need to head now. And you need this direction, of course, in order to be of best service to the world. Now, this is also about looking inside and outside with integrity, honesty, and no compromise. It's important always to operate from a place of integrity before making any decisions just at the moment, and to have clarity of mind and of heart before you take action. And unless you have that clarity, then don't act. But if you do have clarity, now is definitely the time to act. So pay attention to your own point and internal stillness. Center yourself and overcome. Are there still any reasons for you to have self-doubt? Do you doubt your virtues? If you are not centered and feel doubts lingering within, dispel them, name them, describe them. Understanding and describing the enemy is 99% of defeating the enemy. And say this to yourself: I have the power and virtue to reflect and to know. Well, what a fantastic spread of cards for you. And you did a great job. I told you it was an interesting deck, didn't I? And I hope you enjoyed that reading as much as I did providing it to you. Now, unless I see you privately for a reading or for a healing, then of course I'll see you again next month. And until then, though, remember one thing, and it is this, that you are a legend. And I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.